to our hip hop because you know we like to talk music on this podcast, which is a weird concept, like
Yeah.
talking music on a hip hop podcast.
Ah,
You know, that's kind of weird, but
yeah.
whatever. So, for all my hip hop heads out there, I know you guys had to see it. Mass Appeal and Nas released a teaser on the Mass Appeal social media,
Mm-hmm.
kind of hinting at a cryptic message alluding to 7 albums being released.
Mm,
Did you get a chance to see that?
I did, sir. I did.
So, they had some titles.
Coming soon from Slick Rick,
Mhm.
Raekwon, Ghostface Killer, Mobb Deep, Big L, Nas and DJ Premier Project, and De La Soul. That's like a
It's a
dream
dream
team.
in heaven
Dream team.
for us old heads.
Dream team, yes.
So first and foremost, for us over the age of 35, we're in heaven right now with hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I've been saying in all my prior interviews,
Mm-hmm.
our upperclassmen, our veterans are leading the way. They're leading the charge with the music.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, Rhapsody, Pete
Right.
Rock.
Mhm.
Before that, the year before, homeboy from the South. I'm drawing a blank on his name, the one that won the Grammys. Killer Mike. Yeah,
Mhm.
Killer Mike.
Mhm.
Nas did his thing, released the albums with Hit Boy. So the upperclassmen are doing their thing. So when I see this list, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's on for authentic hip hop, man.
Right.
Before I get into kind of the topics or whatever, what is your viewpoint on Mass Appeal doing this? Because I never saw this kind of
No,
done before.
that's it brings me back to the times when record labels were really doing what they were supposed to do with hip hop.
Mm.
It just, like you see a classic upcoming list of albums that you are anticipating. That doesn't happen anymore. So it's kind of going back to what it was. And I think somehow, don't know how, somehow we got away from that. It became dropping videos, download my mixtape, which even when you heard mixtapes, even back then, if you don't even have to go far back to my era, but even going back to the mixtape era, you used to look forward to, you used to be like, yo, French Montana's mixtape's coming out. Jadakiss is coming out with a mixtape. Green Lantern would do something with Styles P. Dipset would do mixtapes. It kind of, after that mixtape era, we kind of got away from albums releasing and seeing the anticipation of it.
Because we got into this whole streaming.
And I think it's a great thing and a great idea of what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like where it's going. And that Nas needs to keep doing that. That's I can't tell you how influential that's going to be.
I'm glad you said that because I want to piggyback off that point. So you brought up your era where you saw iconic record labels releasing some dope albums that we saw coming down the pike. So now, since we're kind of in the streaming era and people have kind of not been paying attention to labels, now we got Mass Appeal reemerging. You know, obviously with the legendary Nas, who in my opinion is, you can put either at 1 or 2 within that top 5 list. So from a business angle, what does this do for Mass Appeal, the record label, if these albums come out in this sequential order and they knock it out the park? What does it do for Mass Appeal?
It changes the game. It gives, because Mass Appeal is owned by Nas.
Yeah.
So it shows you like, look, if you get behind the projects, you do it yourself, you figure it out, which what we should have been doing, but we weren't aware of when hip hop first started. Let me not get into that story. It puts us at another level. It's one level up later. Let me put it to you this way. It's the best way I can explain it, especially for people of color. Like my grandfather was what he was trying to achieve and what he did to move his family up here. He was making a better way for kids that he wasn't even meeting yet. So I think for hip hop, for Nas and them showing this way and doing what they're doing, this is gonna be betterment for the future of hip hop artists and kids that look like us, that come from that community and that culture. It'll show them the blueprint, and it'll change for kids that ain't even here yet. That'll say, go back and look and say, yo, this is how it needs to be done. You know what I'm saying?
I have a caveat for Mass Appeal. So here's my caveat for Mass Appeal, my message I'm throwing out to you guys. As somebody who has been pushing from the media side, from the fan side, from the consumer side of buying physical albums, I've been ringing the alarm saying, yo, that streaming ish, yo, that's last year. We back to buying the art. We back to buying CDs, cassettes, and vinyl culture is very big. So for these albums, for a Nas and DJ Premier album, I want to see a vinyl drop. for a Big L posthumous album, especially if you have some unreleased Big L songs. I want to see a creative vinyl drop for Big L, and so forth with the other artists. I want to see a vinyl and cassette tape for Ghostface. Like, we don't need to stream that ish.
Right.
If y'all gonna do this, let's do it all the way. Let's take it all the way back to how we were supporting the artists back in their era in the 90s. When Big L came out back in 90, what was it, 95 when he dropped that, or 96?
93?
93?
93, 94, yeah.
Yeah. Cassettes. When Nas
Lifestyle, The Poor and Dangerous. Yeah.
The Poor and Dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, they had Eight Is Enough on there with Herb McGruff, Cameron, and all them. Like, when Nas dropped, cassettes. So when Mass Appeal drops all these projects, my only message as a fan and a consumer, please do not follow the streaming format. Change the game for good. Yo, we gonna drop this Nas and DJ Premier. We putting it in vinyl, cassette, and CD, and so forth and so forth. Y'all do that, man. That's gonna be crazy, man.
Yeah.
What, since we talked about those names that you just listed, and you're more versed because that was your era. Like, I come from a generation after you as far as listening.
Yeah.
What do you want to see as a fan from the list of names that you name?
If you look at the top 3, I would love to see Slick Rick's album, definitely Ghostface album, and definitely Nas and DJ Premier's project.
Well, outside seeing them, do you have something you want to listen for as far as production, as far as like maybe a guest appearance or even a song?
You know what I would love to see? I don't know if RZA's like who he used to be anymore, and that's not a shot. But when he's not, because I heard I got Sirius XM, and shouts out to Roxy and Shantae. She had because she has her show.
Yeah, we listen to it when we travel.
Yeah, facts. And Mathematics Wu was on there, and he was talking about RZA like doing production, and like it was a long story. But long story short, she asked, she said, she said, when did you know production? When did you want to do production? She said RZA was kind of burnt out because he was working on Raekwon's album and Jizz's album at the same time. He said him and them went out. I think him and Raekwon and them went out, right? He said they came back to the studio, ice cream was made. So he said, but at the time, RZA, he said he could kind of see RZA on his way going to go and get burnt out. But that's another story. Point I'm making is I would love to see the production like go back to that. If you go back and listen to those albums, you know what made them in classics? It was a bunch of hungry producers with artists that was Illmatic. So they put their best foot forward with their beats and did it. And I think Nas gets that. I think Nas sometimes thinks back about Illmatic, where he was at, what he was doing, what he could have did better if a young Nas had the education that an older Nas has now.
This is why I'm so hyped about this potential DJ Premier.
So I think when you look at, Ghostface and all them, they had all the gems. They had RZA. But when RZA's got to come out with a Method Man album, an old DB album, and then after that, like it was consistently coming out. For people that don't know, before Master P, Wu-Tang was kind of doing that. They were coming out. Like after the second single of an album, the new album was dropping. So once Method Man's second single came out, ODB's first album was coming. After ODB's second single was hitting on the Electra, here comes Raekwon's album. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then after Raekwon's like second single, and it was still blazing, here comes Jizz's album. And then here comes Ghostface album. And you see what I'm saying? So it's kind of, he kind of got burnt out. I would love to see him on Supreme Clientele. But we always know with Ghostface, he's always going to get ill production.
He's going to talk that ish too.
Yeah, everybody's going to listen to Ghostface album. The production, man. And I know it's going to be ill. Slick Rick, I want to see him. His last album, I don't know if people know, it was on Def Jam. Okay. I don't want to go into whole history because I know I don't want to hit people in the head too much with it. But Slick Rick, when he released that last album on Def Jam, that was like almost a 5-mic album. It was a storytelling album. He was making dance joints, story joints, street joints, but Def Jam dropped the ball on that bad. They jumped the ball on that real bad. But that's another story for another day. Now you got Nas. Mm-hmm. And Nas, I'm pretty sure, is going to do what they do. Like, the only thing, man, that's missing, because I know you go back into playing the CDs and everything, they need to go back and just stay with the videos, too. They gotta start doing the videos, man. it don't always have to be on World Star. Just do it on your own YouTube. Just do it. Do it on your own site. It don't matter. We'll find it. You know what I'm saying? Definitely, because when you got the video to it, just bring back that era.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back that era, and you'll love it.
You see what Diamond D is doing?
Yeah.
Well, the interviews, he's releasing a whole bunch of videos.
Yeah.
Working.
Which he should. Yeah, facts.
Salute the Diamond D. He's doing his thing,
He
man.
was another one, too, real quick. I just want to put as a side note. His album was a classic album, but it never like, I don't know, like it just never, well, it was on a small time label. And I know he doesn't really talk about it a lot. I don't know for whatever reason. Stunt Blunts and Hip Hops, I mean, it was on a small time label. So I think they thought, oh, this is Diamond D. We're going to release him from DITC. They never really got behind it, but that was a classic album. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't have the push. Now, had that Def Jam been behind that, we might have been holding that up as one of the greatest albums of all time. You know, back in that era. So just to give you an example of how ill Diamond D is.
So more importantly, we talked about the relevancy of, or the culture impact for Mass Appeal once this comes out. Mm-hmm. You put it perfectly of what they can do, what we would like to see. So I'm going to touch on what I would like to see, then I'm going to go into this conversation that was floating around. Because it got to be touched on when they talked about the top 5 MCs. Mm-hmm. I'm not letting that shit go, man.
Yeah.
But what I would like to see is, so it's going to be unique because they're all veterans. And as me and you talked about how they're lapping the younger generation, at least with lyricism and skill. I want to see how creative they can get with this Big L album. I'm pretty sure there's some unreleased tracks that we never heard of.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you got Mace out here and Cam. I would love to see if they can sprinkle some Harlem artists on there. Mm-hmm. And it would be so ill because he's always brought up in a conversation, even though he had 1 or 2 projects.
He had I don't know if that other album came out.
Okay.
I think it was just Ebonics.
Yeah.
He just had the Ebonics single, but nothing else came out.
He's always been held in high regards, but he never had enough time to put out multiple projects.
Right.
So as a fan of Big L, since people have him in their top 5, I want to see if he can kill people from the grave. Mm-hmm. If they release an album with him not being here for 25 years and him outshine all y'all artists, do you know what that's gonna do? Mm-hmm. If people say, yo, they just released that Big L album, they doing something with AI, with videos and voiceovers, and he's out rapping today's artists, and he's been going for 20. It's gonna make some people reflect, like, we need to get back to talent. Right. All that TikTok rap, and we gonna make a song just to dance on TikTok. That shit been going, but with these group of MCs, with these crop of MCs coming out, it's gonna piss some people to shame, at least in my opinion.
Right.
So I want to see it from that angle. I'm obviously excited by Nas and DJ Premier because I think it gives him another chance to submit himself of going for that number 1 spot. Mm-hmm. I know people give it to Jay. Even sometimes I give it to Jay. It's kind of hard. Mm-hmm. But if Nas knocks this out of the park with DJ Premier, I'm sorry. Like, how do you not place Nas at number 1 if he releases this album and he shines the way he did with Hit Boy?
Right. Wow.
So that's just what I'm thinking about as a fan. And again, Mass Appeal, please release physical copies of all these albums. Right. Vinyl, CDs, and cassettes, just from a fan perspective. That's what I just want to see. Mm-hmm. So the conversation I want to bring up, I think I sent it to you. I sent you the link, but it was a person by the name of Punch. Yeah. So they were having a conversation about top 5 New York MCs. Yeah. And from everybody's opinion is cool. I'm not saying our opinion is correct and their opinion is wrong, but just want to go over it because now we're talking about Nas releasing more music. So he said from his perspective, Jay-Z at number 1, Jadakiss at 2, and 3 is where he lost everybody. He said number 3 MC is Fabulous.
For top 5?
Top 5.
As far as what again?
New York rappers that are alive that put music out in the 2000s. So he went Nas, Jadakiss, Fabulous, Nicki Minaj, and Cameron.
In 2000?
In the 2000. Who is he skipping over?
DMX.
Who else?
50 Cent.
Who else?
Nas.
Jadakiss. Well, he put Jadakiss at 2.
Okay. Nas. Oh my God, the list is long.
Ghostface Killer.
Ghostface. I mean, my God.
So now with Nas,
Fat Joe.
Yeah,
Really?
I'm not.
Fat Joe had hits, man.
I'm not saying hits. He said lyricists, like bar spitting.
He had some. Fat Joe got lyrics, man. I think y'all.
Fat Joe ain't never been in nobody top 5.
Really?
Who top 5 Fat Joe been in?
Fat Joe ain't an Illmatic cat.
I said who top 5 has Fat Joe
God.
been?
All right, I'm gonna leave it alone.
No, this is good content.
No.
Respectfully. Hey, look, I'm the only Puerto Rican.
Joe, don't leave me hanging, Joe. Fat Joe, if you see this clip, please say something.
I'm the only Puerto Rican in the room.
I'm the only one going to bat for you, Joe. Yeah, I know about you, man. Joe, this one's envy. I know about the shit is real.
I'm
remix.
The only Puerto Rican in the room.
Okay.
I love Fat Joe. He picked my favorite rapper on Big Pun.
Okay, Big Pun, right.
Puerto Rican flag tatted on the arm. I love what he did for the game. I'm just saying lyrically, I never heard that conversation in a barbershop.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, I get it.
But getting back to the topic, with Punch pitting Fabulous, it threw me for a loop because I wouldn't pit Fabulous over Lloyd Banks.
No.
But
no, go ahead. What you gonna say?
No, that's just it. I'll let you lead.
I think with Fab is that what I respect about Fab. Maybe it's not lyrics wise. He is an ill lyricist. He has witty punchlines. He is an ill lyricist. I think he survived or he stood out even when the South was rocking. Fab was still the man. Fab was still repping New York. Fab still kept us relevant. So he always is going to be up in that top tier echelon because of what he did during that time. Whether it was a mixtape era, whether it was a DVD era, whether it was New York falling off, Fab was always still up there. Always relevant, always video-wise, always image-wise. Fab was there. I don't think he gets the notoriety because if you look at it, and I hate to say it, I'm not saying Clue held him back, but he didn't have a Rockefeller behind him. So, he didn't have a G Unit behind him. Fab kind of did everything on his own, Electric, Atlantic Records. He's never really been on a big major label. Like if he was on Rough Riders, he'd easily be sitting right there at the top. But he's not. Def Jam, yeah. He was with Def Jam, and they put him there. But you got to remember, Fab kind of came. Yo, let me tell you how ill Fab was, though. I will say this: there was a time, and yes, I sound like Doggy, like from ESPN First Take. There was a time when Jadakiss was dropping his album. And that was right around the same time as either Jay, who else? Somebody else. Jadakiss dropped his album. I never forgot it. Everybody was playing Jadakiss' album. And I'm talking about his first album with Knock Yourself Out and all that. Fab was the only one that was shining during that day. Fab came out with his tape, and he was the only one that shined on that. Because everybody else's album sales was hurting. Let's just keep it real. So I don't think Fab gets the notoriety and respect. As far as top 3 lyricists in 2000,
like I said, nobody's right or wrong. I just think there's a consensus.
Yeah.
That when we have these talks amongst us and we bring up top 5 rappers, he might be in people's top 10.
Oh, yeah, facts. Yeah.
But for me, if I would give a basketball analogy, I'd be fair and say Fabulous is akin to a Carmelo Anthony.
Right.
Surgical as hell. Put up 60 points in a ball game.
Yeah.
Just didn't have the career people thought he would have.
Right.
Still a Hall of Famer. Shout out to one of his producers. He works with many, but shout out to one of his producers. I want to say the brother name is Sonaro from Far Rock.
Yeah.
Produced Badia and a lot of other joints. Dope MC. I just don't got him in the top 5 over Nas.
Yeah.
Punch. I don't know what you're doing, man. You left Nas off that list and put Cameron in front of him.
Yeah. Cam, you know what? Cam is an ill lyricist too, but Cam reminds me of he's like the Detroit Pistons when they was at their peak. Like they won a title, so it's like they was just good when they won championship. They
so you
won
said
more.
Cameron is 2004 Detroit Pistons?
Yeah, he
got that one title.
He got that one title, and I think he was just content because he just knew he was Illmatic, but he had to try hard. Because that ooey gooey computers putin booty booting that I can't, man. I so cannot. Otherwise than that, go back. we all know if you go back listen to Cameron, whether he was on Monday Night Mixtape with Clue, Children of the Corn, 357, Diplomat mixtapes, Cameron was insane. Like he's just like, my God, how did this kid go unnoticed? You know what I'm saying? But when he started doing the computers debooting and all that crap, I was like, yo, Cam, you killing me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, I can't. You know what I'm saying? I can't. But it worked. It worked. It just basically was like, he could have went harder on the track. He just chose not to because he knew he was Cameron and he was going to do what he was going to do. He was going to sell what he was going to sell. You know what I'm saying?
So while we're on this topic, since we're kind of debating a top 5 New York list for the 2000 rappers, how would you spin yours?
2000. Definitely Jada is definitely there. Jay-Z's there. Nas is there. Talking about 2000, right? Yeah.
That's a criteria he said.
Yeah. Nas. I said Jada, Nas, Jay. Mercy. That's kind of hard, man. I want to say DMX. 50, definitely. 50 Cent.
Okay, so we got the same top 5.
Yeah.
I might be interchangeable by throwing Ghostface in there.
Facts. Yeah,
so that's the only, I agree with your top 5 and maybe throw Ghostface in there.
Yeah.
But I got the same exact one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that as a fan. Salute the Mass Appeal, salute the Nas. As you said, it's going to give that old school feeling for record labels releasing classic albums, especially having that type of list of 7 albums coming out.
Yeah. They used to do that all the time, man. And I don't know, something went left, but then, a whole new wave came and it was more about mixtapes. And even then with the mixtapes, at least even when it was online, you was anticipating the releases of them. Now, I mean, you don't know. Like sometimes I don't know stuff drop until I'm crossing paths with you and you're like, yo, hey, this joint released, this joint is coming out. I'm like, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Yo, my best advice, and my partner can speak to this too, because a lot of people don't know, like they see us on this podcast and they're like, yo, y'all been around this long. Y'all don't understand. We was around. We just weren't being seen. So I'm telling you, when we saw the most people that succeeded was the artists that sat back, treated the album, whether it was a mixtape or an album, and treated a mixtape like an album. They did videos for it. They did promo runs. They did interviews. They did photo shoots. If you do that now, you will be 10 steps ahead of whoever it is. I don't care if it's ludicrous. You'll be a step ahead. You'll be right up there with them. So I think because your fan base wants to see more. That AI crap ain't gonna fly. You know what I mean? Like, this is hip hop, man. It don't matter. Hip hop has never changed. They want to see the whole project, the complete vision. And if you're not gonna produce that, you're wasting your time. Before we